Most people wait for motivation to strike before they take action. That's the first mistake. Motivation is unreliable, it's emotional, it's inconsistent, and it's affected by everything: your sleep, your mood, your environment, even the weather. If you're relying on motivation to push you forward, you're setting yourself up for failure before the day even starts. Discipline is what gets results. It's what shows up when motivation takes a vacation. Here's the truth most people don't want to hear. You're not going to feel like doing the work most days. That doesn't mean you're broken. That doesn't mean you're not cut out for success. It just means you're human. But successful people don't let their feelings decide their actions. They act first, they follow through, and then maybe the feeling catches up, or maybe it doesn't, but the result still happens because the discipline was there. Momentum starts the second you make a decision and back it up with consistent action. But if you only take action when you're hyped up, you're building on sand. Real, lasting momentum is built on a foundation of habits. Habits that are often boring, habits that don't feel glamorous: waking up early, planning your day, hitting your deadlines, following through on your commitments even when nobody's watching. That's discipline. That's how momentum starts to work in your favor instead of against you. And let's be clear, discipline is not about being robotic. It's about making decisions in advance. You don't wait to see how you feel in the morning before deciding whether you're going to work out. You decided the night before, you set your clothes out, you set the alarm, and then you honor the commitment, even if it sucks in the moment. That's the muscle that builds everything else. You start stacking wins when you stop negotiating with yourself. The people who win aren't more talented, they're not luckier. They've just trained themselves to show up when it's hard. They've normalized discomfort. They don't chase balance, they chase alignment. And alignment means doing the things that support your long-term goals, not your short-term comfort. Every time you choose discipline over ease, you reinforce your identity as someone who follows through. That identity is powerful. It turns into confidence, it turns into speed, and it turns into momentum that compounds. Think about how many times you've said, "I'll start tomorrow." How many times you've had the perfect plan, the perfect schedule, but never stuck with it. That's not because you weren't motivated. You probably were, for a moment, but you didn't have the discipline to keep going when that spark faded. And if that's your pattern, it's time to break it. It's time to stop waiting for a feeling and start building a system. Discipline creates freedom. That sounds like a contradiction, but it's not. When your habits are solid, your mind is free to focus. You're not wasting energy deciding whether to do the thing, you just do it. And that gives you time, space, and energy to level up in other areas. That's the real payoff. Momentum doesn't just make you productive, it makes you powerful. It turns you into the kind of person who can take on more, lead more, and win more. This isn't about being perfect. You're going to slip, you're going to have off days, that's fine. The difference is, disciplined people don't let a bad day turn into a bad week. They reset quickly, they don't spiral. They just get back on track because discipline isn't about intensity. It's about consistency. It's about staying in motion. That's how momentum is built. That's how it's protected. So if you're serious about getting to the next level, stop waiting for motivation. It's not coming to save you. You have to save yourself with systems, with structure, and with discipline. Build the habits that match the life you say you want. Keep the promises you make to yourself. Because momentum doesn't come from doing something once. It comes from doing it again and again, especially when it's hard, especially when you don't feel like it. That's where the real shift happens. That's how you wake up and win. How you start your day is everything. It's not just about feeling good, it's about setting the tone for how you show up, what you tolerate, and what gets done. The first 60 minutes of your day determine your pace, your energy, and your priorities. If you roll out of bed, grab your phone, and start scrolling, you've already handed control of your day to someone else. You're reacting instead of leading, and leaders don't react, they create. Owning your morning means being intentional. It means designing a routine that serves your goals, not your comfort. It means waking up with purpose, even if you don't feel like it. Because let's be real, You're not always going to feel excited to get up early or start grinding. But results aren't built on feelings, they're built on rituals, systems, and a refusal to drift through the day on autopilot. When you wake up and dive straight into the noise, emails, messages, social media, you're starting your day in defense mode. And defense is slow, it's cautious, it doesn't create momentum, it kills it. The most effective people in the world protect their mornings like their life depends on it, because in a way it does. The life they want, the goals they have, the impact they're trying to make, all of it requires clarity and direction. That clarity starts the moment the alarm goes off. Your morning doesn't need to look like anyone else's. It doesn't need to be complicated or full of fancy rituals, but it does need to be intentional. Wake up at a consistent time. Don't touch your phone for the first 30 minutes. Spend a few minutes getting clear on your priorities. Move your body, drink water, review your calendar, set your intention. These are simple things, but they're powerful when repeated daily because they put you in the driver's seat. They remind you that you're the one setting the tone. And here's what most people get wrong. They think mornings are just about productivity, but it's deeper than that. Your morning routine is an identity habit. It reinforces who you believe you are. Every time you get up early and follow through, you're casting a vote for the kind of person who is disciplined, focused, and capable, and those votes add up. They shape your confidence. They shape your decisions. And ultimately, they shape your results. You've probably had days where everything felt chaotic and overwhelming. And if you trace it back, it often started in the first hour. You didn't plan. You didn't set priorities. You let the day come at you, and it did. Owning your morning is the antidote to chaos. It's the daily reset that brings structure and power into your life, no matter what else is going on. Think of your morning routine as your personal launchpad. If you get it right, everything else becomes easier, you make faster decisions, you show up with better energy, you recover from setbacks more quickly. That doesn't mean the day will always be perfect, but it means you're starting from a position of strength instead of scrambling to catch up. And let's talk about consistency. One great morning doesn't change your life, but 100 of them, that's momentum. That's where the real growth happens. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight. Just start by owning 1 hour that belongs to you, 1 hour that's not negotiable. Protect it, refine it, and make it non-negotiable, because that 1 hour will start to change how you move through the rest of your day. When people say they don't have time, what they often mean is they haven't prioritized their time. And when you don't own your morning, your day gets eaten up by everyone else's priorities. Owning your morning means you decide what matters. You decide where your attention goes. You decide what kind of energy you bring into your work, your relationships, and your goals. If you keep hitting snooze, if you keep waking up without a plan, if you keep letting your phone set the tone, then don't be surprised when you feel stuck or overwhelmed. You're giving away your power before you even get started. But if you wake up with purpose, take control of the first hour, and move with intention, you'll start to notice something. Your results shift, your mindset shifts, and you start to become the person who doesn't just talk about goals, you actually hit them. Own your mornings, own your results. The math is simple, but the discipline is rare. That's what makes it powerful. Success doesn't happen in one big leap. It's not a grand moment where everything finally clicks. It's a buildup of small, consistent actions, micro wins, that stack up over time. These wins might not look like much in the moment, but they're the foundation of massive momentum, and if you're constantly waiting for some big break, you're missing the point. The people who win are the ones who understand that the little things done daily are what drive the biggest results. It starts with how you approach your day. You don't need to conquer the world before noon. You just need to make progress. Progress compounds when you start the day with a clear, manageable target, something you can hit and feel good about. You create a psychological win. That win builds confidence. Confidence builds consistency, and consistency builds momentum. Let's break it down. Say you've got a big goal, launching a business, hitting a sales target, transforming your health. That goal can feel overwhelming when you look at it all at once. It's easy to freeze, procrastinate, or spend your time planning instead of doing, but if you shift your focus to what you can do today, right now, you take back control. That might be sending 5 prospecting emails, getting in a 30-minute workout, or cleaning up your calendar. None of those tasks are dramatic, but when done repeatedly, they move the needle. They matter more than waiting for the perfect time to do something huge. Momentum isn't built on perfect days, it's built on forward motion. Even imperfect action counts. What doesn't count is staying still. The problem is, most people are so obsessed with getting everything right that they stall out. They wait until they feel ready. They wait until conditions are ideal. But winners don't wait. They start, they move, and they figure things out as they go. That's what makes the micro wins so powerful. They don't require permission. They just require movement. There's a mental shift that happens when you stop chasing huge victories and start recognizing the value of small ones. You stop needing outside validation. You stop comparing yourself to people who seem further ahead. And you start to realize you're in control. You can build momentum anytime you want. You don't need a miracle. You need a system of micro wins that add up to big changes. Look at your habits. What are the repeatable actions that, over time, would change your outcomes? Are you making the calls, writing the content, showing up to meetings prepared, taking care of your health, following up when you say you will? These are the behaviors that separate the people who talk from the people who execute. Because anyone can dream big, but only a few are willing to do the small, boring, consistent work that it takes to make those dreams real. And it's not just about doing the work, it's about tracking your wins. When you track progress, even the smallest kind, you reinforce belief in yourself. You're not relying on motivation to keep going. You're using evidence. Every win is a receipt. It's proof that what you're doing is working. That's how you stay locked in. That's how you bounce back when things get hard. You don't lose momentum because you've got a backlog of wins reminding you that you're capable. There's also something powerful about finishing what you start. Even if it's a 5-minute task, completing it sends a message to your brain that you follow through. That matters. You can't expect to crush massive goals if you can't finish small ones. Completion builds identity. And identity is everything. When you start seeing yourself as someone who wins, even in small ways, your standards shift, your expectations rise. You start demanding more from yourself, not because you have to, but because you know you're capable of more. Most people think momentum is this magical force that some people are lucky to have, but it's not magic, it's math. It's the result of stacking small wins over and over again. You don't need to change everything today. You just need to do one thing better than yesterday and then do it again tomorrow. That's it. That's the playbook. So stop underestimating the power of small steps. Stop waiting for the breakthrough. Your breakthrough is buried inside 100 micro wins you haven't claimed yet. Start building them. Keep stacking and watch what happens. The momentum you're chasing isn't out there somewhere. It's built in the choices you make every single day. You can have all the goals, plans, and talent in the world, but if your energy is drained and your environment is chaotic, you're not going anywhere. Energy is your most valuable resource, not time, not money. Energy, because without it, you can't execute, you can't focus, you can't lead, and yet, most people move through their days completely unaware of what's stealing it. They're constantly tired, scattered, and wondering why they can't seem to gain traction. The answer is almost always one of two things: who you're around and what you're tolerating. Let's start with energy. It's not just physical, it's mental, emotional, and even environmental. Everything you consume, everything you interact with, everything you allow into your space is either giving you energy or taking it away. That includes your habits, that includes your routines. That includes the notifications pinging your phone, the conversations you have on autopilot, and the low-grade chaos you've accepted as normal. And here's the hard truth: you're responsible for all of it. You can't build momentum if you're exhausted all the time. You can't think creatively or make sharp decisions if your brain is fried from overstimulation. So the first step is awareness. Audit your day. What's draining you? What's distracting you? What's consistently leaving you feeling frustrated, anxious, or depleted? Don't brush it off. Don't minimize it. Write it down. Be brutally honest with yourself. If it's not fueling your focus, your purpose, or your growth, it's a cost, and you're the one paying it. Then look at your environment, not just the physical space, but the emotional one too. Who are you around? Are they pushing you or pacifying you? Are they challenging you or coddling you? Are they helping you grow or keeping you small? You cannot afford to build momentum in a space full of noise, drama, or people who are addicted to excuses. The wrong environment will pull you back every time you try to level up, and you'll wonder why you feel stuck, even though you're doing all the right things. You need to get ruthless about what you allow in your space. That might mean having uncomfortable conversations. That might mean saying no more often. That might mean pulling away from people who have been in your life for years, not because you don't care, but because your vision demands more than they're willing to give. Your goals need alignment, not just support. There's a difference between people who cheer you on and people who actually help you win. Know the difference, and let's talk about your physical space too. Is it set up to support your productivity, or is it a distraction trap? Is it clean, organized, and energizing, or cluttered, chaotic, and draining? Your environment speaks to your standards. When you elevate your space, you elevate your behavior. It doesn't need to be perfect, but it needs to be intentional. Everything you see, touch, and interact with should be a reflection of where you're going, not where you've been. There's no prize for tolerating things that no longer serve you. You don't get a badge for holding on to people, habits, or situations that drain you. You get fatigue, you get stuck, you get frustrated, and that frustration leads to burnout or inaction. That's why the audit matters. Because sometimes momentum isn't about doing more, it's about cutting what's no longer aligned. It's subtraction that creates the space for clarity and power. Your energy is not unlimited, so stop spending it like it is. Protect it, prioritize it, build routines that recharge you instead of just depleting you. Create boundaries that make space for your goals. Surround yourself with people who challenge you to be sharper, faster, more intentional. Your environment should remind you of your standards, not your limitations. If it doesn't, change it. This isn't about being cold or detached, it's about being committed. You can be kind and still be unavailable to energy leaks. You can love people and still not let them have access to your focus. You can care deeply and still protect what you're building. Audit your energy, audit your space, and most importantly, make the changes you've been avoiding. Momentum isn't just about action, it's about alignment. When your energy, your space, and your relationships are aligned with your vision, everything accelerates, the work feels lighter, the decisions get clearer, and the wins come faster. You can't afford to ignore this. Your goals depend on it. So do the audit, make the cuts, raise the standards, and move forward without apology. Waiting until you're ready is one of the most effective ways to stay stuck. The truth is, you're never going to feel fully ready to do the big things. You're not going to wake up one day and suddenly feel confident enough, experienced enough, or smart enough to go after that next level goal. Readiness is a lie your brain tells you to keep you safe. It masks itself as preparation, but really it's fear dressed in logic. The people who move fast, build momentum, and get results, they act before they feel ready. If you're constantly preparing, constantly planning, constantly gathering information but never executing, what you're actually doing is hiding, and no, it doesn't matter how good your intentions are. Planning feels productive, but it only matters if it leads to action. You don't need a perfect plan, you need a decision, you need a first step, because clarity doesn't come from thinking, it comes from doing. Action creates feedback. Feedback gives you data. That data sharpens your direction. That's how you learn. That's how you get better. But if you wait until you're ready, you never start. And if you never start, you never get the feedback you need to improve. So you stay stuck in the same place, convincing yourself that if you just had one more week, one more course, one more piece of advice, then you'd be ready. But that moment never comes. High performers aren't fearless. They just don't let fear make their decisions. They feel the discomfort and move anyway. They step into uncertainty and build confidence as they go. You want to know how someone gets confident at public speaking? They speak badly at first. You want to get better at selling. Start making calls. You want to lead a team. Start leading, even if you feel like an imposter, because everyone does at the beginning. The difference is, winners don't wait for permission. They create momentum through action. You don't need to see the whole path, you just need to see the next move. Taking action when you're unsure is what sharpens your instincts. You build your decision-making muscle by using it, not by analyzing everything to death. Perfectionism is procrastination in a nicer outfit. It makes you feel responsible, but it's still avoidance, and avoidance kills momentum. Think about the last time you acted on something before you were fully prepared. It probably felt messy, maybe you made mistakes, but you learned more in that short time than you ever could have by just thinking about it. That's the power of motion. It pulls you out of fear and into possibility. Because when you're in motion, your brain shifts from what if this goes wrong to what can I do next. Momentum doesn't come from certainty, it comes from movement. You don't get to skip the awkward, uncomfortable first reps. You just get better at embracing them. The more you act, the more you realize that readiness is overrated. No one is watching you as closely as you think. No one expects you to have it all figured out. And the people who are ahead of you, they're not there because they had better timing. They just moved sooner. You have to decide that imperfect action is better than perfect hesitation, that launching something at 70% is better than sitting on it until it's just right. That learning as you go isn't a weakness, it's the process. The fastest growth always comes after the first step, not before it. And the longer you wait, the heavier the thing feels. You build resistance by sitting still. You break resistance by moving. This doesn't mean acting recklessly. It means being brave enough to start with what you have. It means trusting that you'll figure it out along the way, because you will. You always have. Look at your life. You've done hard things. You've figured things out you didn't think you could. And every time it started with a decision to move, even if you didn't feel ready. Stop giving your fear a microphone. Stop making decisions from a place of doubt. Start acting from your vision. Your next level won't arrive when you feel prepared. It arrives when you take the leap and grow into the person who can handle it. So do the thing, have the conversation, launch the product, say yes, hit send, show up messy, show up unsure, but show up, because action beats readiness every single time.